Copenhagen, the cycling city. The city chosen by the 2022 Tour de France to be the city for the Grand Depart. What makes Copenhagen and Denmark deserves the honor to host the opening stages of 2022 Tour de France. What does cycling mean for the citizens? We'll take a deeper look into the cycling culture of Copenhagen. When I entered Copenhagen to cover the first stage of 2022 Tour de France, I immediately realized the significant presence of bicycles in the life of Copenhagen citizens. As I kept walking, I can't help but think how cycling really is the number one transport method in Copenhagen. How can it fit perfectly on the city that is many considered one of the most expensive city in Europe?
Welcome to Copenhagen, everybody!
Starting in Copenhagen, which is often referred as the greatest cycling city in the world, it is the most northern starting point in Tour de France history. Considering the proud history of Danish tour riders and winners, it's easy to imagine the excitement and love given by the locals as the race takes place in the Danish capital.
Now we're here.
Am I right if I'm saying that you are a bit touched emotionally right now? Yes, I could tell.
But outside the bike racing history, Copenhagen itself is always about cycling for the citizens. Life in Copenhagen is lived in the saddle of a bicycle. Every day, 49% of Copenhageners commute to work or studies on a bike. Biking simply is the logical choice and an integral part of every kid's upbringing. They bike whether there is sun, rain, or snow. Bike to work, to school, to bring the kids to the kindergarten, to shop for groceries, and to social gatherings. Cycling is faster, convenient, healthy, climate-friendly, enjoyable, and cheap. Although Copenhageners honestly love their bikes no matter their financial income. Even top politicians ride their bike every day to parliament. There are more bikes than inhabitants in Copenhagen. 9 out of 10 Danes own a bicycle. There are 382 kilometers of cycle tracks and traffic lights that are coordinated in favor of cyclists during rush hour. Every weekday, cyclists in Copenhagen cover the equivalent distance of 400 editions of Tour de France. That's about 1,440,000 kilometers. Thanks to the 673,000 bikes in the city and the fact that 44% of all trips to places of works and education are done by bicycle. And that's because the well-developed bike infrastructure plays a major role in Copenhagen's focus on sustainable urban development. I met a fellow Indonesian who lived in Copenhagen, and luckily she's very kind to accompany me around the city and tell her experience about cycling in Copenhagen.
Aku tuh sudah 20 tahun ya bolak-balik ke Denmark, lebih seringnya sih di Copenhagen ya gitu. Nah kebetulan sekarang ini juga anakku sekolahnya lagi di Copenhagen. Nah di sini tuh enaknya sudah pasti udaranya fresh ya. Terus kemana-mana gue naik sepeda. Jadi benar-benar gue dengan sepeda ontel gue itu gue kemana-mana naik sepeda dan misalnya gue mau belanja gue naik sepeda, gue mau berenang ke kolam gue naik sepeda. Terus juga orang sini semua tuh naik sepeda. Jadi memang di Copenhagen ya, atau di Denmark sih sebenarnya kita itu punya jalur sepeda yang memang dikhususkan untuk bersepeda. Jadi mereka memang lagi menggaungkan atau memajukan sepeda lah ya di Denmark ya. Terus enaknya lagi misalnya aku mau keluar kota nih gitu kan, terus malas ke stasiun jalan kaki, jadi aku dari stasiun itu dari rumah naik sepeda ke stasiun. Nah sepeda aku ikutan naik tuh ke keretanya. Dari situ stop, aku bisa lanjutin ke kota yang mana aku mau. Gak cuma kereta aja sih, tapi juga bisa metro juga, bisa juga naik sepeda. Jadi intinya memang Denmark itu selain negaranya enak, salah satu negara paling bahagia di dunia ya, mungkin karena sepedahan ya, karena rakyatnya sepedahan terus. Dan misalnya di sini di Denmark itu ada 5 juta orang, sepedanya tuh bisa 6 juta gitu.
Thanks to its green routes, or routes that only allowed for cyclists and pedestrians, it becoming more and more convenient for cyclists and pedestrians to go through the city. Currently, Copenhagen is building even more green routes and bridges through Copenhagen to ensure a safe and green transport route for cyclists, while creating green spots in the cityscape. Cycle superhighways are already a reality, leading cyclists in and out of the city from as far as 15 kilometers away. Walking around the center of Copenhagen, I could see various types of bicycle. I try to capture as much as I can through my lens the cycling scene in the city.
Jadi sepedaan di sini semuanya keren-keren karena mereka mau ke kantor, mau ke mana, mungkin mau nongkrong atau apa gitu ya. Tapi semuanya gayanya kayak orang lagi jalan-jalan biasa. Jadi bisa pakai gaun, bisa pakai dress, cuma goes. Bisa pakai jas, goes. Keren banget. Jumlah sepeda di sini itu sangat mengesankan gitu loh. Mulai dari jenis sepeda seperti ini, sepeda-sepeda biasa. Dan orang juga kalau misalnya mau nyewa sepeda nih, ada sepeda listrik sini semua bisa sewa. Ada sepeda yang kayak becak di sini buat bawa barang ataupun buat bawa anak-anak. Semua. Dan ini kita lagi berada di daerah yang prestis gitu. Ya, banyak toko-toko terkenal. Seperti ini ada toko-toko tengah sini dan semuanya ada parkir sepeda gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya di Jakarta kita ngelihat kayak semacam daerah-daerah prestis gitu tidak banyak sepeda, di sini kebalikannya. Di sini adanya sepeda, nggak ada mobil.
Through my lens, I noticed that there are many kinds of bike in Copenhagen. But among those, there are two kinds of bike that really stands out in Copenhagen cycling scene. Let's talk about these two types of bike. The first one is the most popular. The most popular or ridden bicycle in Copenhagen is the Roadster. It is the most common bike in Copenhagen. This is sometimes also called a city bike, or in Indonesia, we call it ontel bike. And there are lots of variations of the style. Some people equip it with the front or rear basket to keep their groceries. It really is the classic looking, multi-purpose city bike for everyday life. Tourists also can rent this city bike from any bicycle shop in town, even though there is now an electric bicycle rent that anyone can pick up and drop on the street simply by using application from their smartphone. The second one is the most unique. The most unique bicycle is the cargo bikes. Cargo bikes or Christiania bikes, bullet bikes, and pelican bikes are a wonderful aspect of Scandinavian cycling, especially in Copenhagen. The most significant element of the bike is the platform in front of the bike. It's almost look like becak in Indonesia, but lower seating and a simpler box type platform. The cutest is when you see a bunch of kids wearing helmets sitting together on the platform. It shows how useful the bike for the family to take their kids anywhere around. When cyclists going around the city, there is a bike lane available to them. The bike lane is almost 30% of the size of the main road.
Nah, kalau misalnya kalian lihat di tengah itu ada jalur jalan raya untuk mobil dan yang lain. Di sebelahnya ada jalur sepeda. Jalur sepeda ini bisa buat dua baris sepeda, yang pelan di sebelah kanan, yang mendahului di sebelah kiri. Soalnya kan kebalik kalau misalnya sama di Indonesia. Terus di sebelahnya lagi baru ada jalan trotoar untuk jalan kaki. Dan enaknya juga kalau misalnya di sini sepedanya kalau misalnya mau belok harus didahulukan sama mobil gitu.
What happens when it gets rainy or snow? Yes, some people will just keep riding. But for those who doesn't want to get wet, the best thing about Copenhagen is the subway, or metro they call it, are bicycle friendly. Outside the rush hours, which is in the morning and afternoon, cyclists are allowed to take their bike into the metro to get to the nearest station of their destination. And in every station, there is more than enough bike parking spot available, which is free of charge. But beware, even though Copenhagen is one of the happiest cities in the world, people still get to lock their bike in the parking spot. Because bike theft is a very common criminal in the city, so you gotta beware.
Sortir avec notre vélo nous incite à voir grand. Et maintenant, nous accueillons la plus grande course cycliste du monde au Danemark. En 2022, nous vous montrerons notre amour pour le cyclisme et notre passion pour le Tour de France. Bienvenue dans un pays sur deux roues. Bienvenue au Danemark.
So what about road bikes? Since road bike is now very popular in Indonesia, especially in Jakarta, I decided to visit one of the most famous road cycling apparel, Panormal Studio. I visited the shop just in time when they are about to go for a long ride. In Copenhagen, the sun shines for almost 16 hours, and with the cool weather all day long on summer, the road cyclists began their ride on 5 p.m. Very contrast to Indonesian road cyclists, where they begin the ride from 5 to 5:30 in the morning to avoid traffic and the morning heat. For a long ride, they usually cover round trip of 70 kilometers in 2 hours.
We are going to a place called Kettinge, where there's like a loop. The guys will do some intervals and they'll be racing against each other. And they'll go with an average speed of like 34, 35 kilometers.
How many days a week do you usually do the ride?
We do it every Wednesday, and then we also have a social ride on Monday.
How about the social ride?
The social ride is more like a chill ride where they're both men and women, and it's not for that long. Because today they're going to be like, I think, 80, 90 kilometers, and the Monday is only 50 kilometers.
Sebenarnya pengen banget bisa ngikutin mereka ride naik motor, jadi bisa diboncengin kayak di Jakarta kan. Tapi di sini nggak bisa, karena di sini nggak ada ojek online, ada sepeda online, nggak bisa diboncengin. Average-nya katanya mungkin sekitar 30-an, sebenarnya nggak terlalu kenceng kalau misalnya untuk ukuran di Jakarta pagi-pagi ya, cuma di sini anginnya kenceng banget.
Bukannya 30 miles per hour.
kph nggak, kalau misalnya di sepeda itu selalu pakai kph, nggak pakai miles.
Okay.
If you're a road cyclist in Jakarta, you must have heard the word culture, which means cool, or looks cool with your cool jersey and cool bike. Looking at the Danish road cyclists here in Panorama Studio, I think I can understand what the word means. You don't have to prove you're the fastest on the road, as long as you love to ride. The new wave and movement of cycling culture is to influence people that cycling is the new lifestyle. A lifestyle that brought people together, exercise together, going somewhere, and enjoy the benefits of cycling. And that is culture. Or as the Indonesian says, culture pa bos, means you look good, boss.
Dan there you go, mereka ride sekitar 80 km di hari Rabu sore yang luar biasa enak cuacanya, dan mereka tidak perlu takut gelap. Sekarang jam 5 sore karena di sini mataharinya terbenamnya itu jam 9 sampai jam 10 malam, jadi enak banget.
Since I can't follow them along the ride, I decided to look for a spot somewhere in the middle of their route to see if I can get some pictures while they're going back from the ride. I take a train to a place called Klampenberg. It's a coastal road near the beach. So when I get there, I wait for the riders to pass me by.
Jadi ini kita lagi coba jadi fotografer sepeda jalanan. Kayak di Jakarta, ini lagi di daerah Klampenberg, dan di sebelah sana itu ada loop yang kita nggak bisa ke sana karena itu nggak ada pedestrian walk-nya, nggak ada trotoarnya. Jadi kita nunggu mereka di sini. Jadi kita bersabar untuk nunggu mereka ambil satu spot. Itu pemandangannya, backdropnya udah lumayan oke, ada laut di situ. Kita tungguin mereka. Begitulah tadi foto road cycling di Klampenberg. Jadi kita udah lihat-lihat semua tadi skena persepedaan di Copenhagen, mulai dari sebagai alat transportasi pribadi, sebagai alat antar, bawa anak dan keluarga, dan sekarang road cycling. Jadi memang Copenhagen itu kota yang baik banget.
So, what can we learn from the cycling culture of Copenhagen? Why they ride? The people of Copenhagen and Denmark do love cycling very much. They are happy to ride their bike everywhere. It produces zero emission, it makes the air cleaner, and it's healthy for them. The awareness of making a green environment is high, and it's supported and mandated by the government to make cycling as the primary transportation to go around. Copenhagen became the role model for other European countries to implement cycling and cycling-friendly infrastructure in general and everyday life. Other than Denmark, France government recently announced that they are offering its citizens 4,000 euros, or about 60 million rupiah, to switch from gasoline-fueled cars to electric bikes. The offer is part of policy to replace a more environmentally friendly transportation system. The truth is, yes, there are some destinations that we simply can't go by bicycles. But it is more than enough to reduce carbon footprints on our everyday trips. I'm sure everyone wants to breathe clean air and to see blue skies above. And cycling is one way to achieve it. With government support and good infrastructure, I'm pretty sure cycling can be a larger part of Indonesia's way of commuting. All it needed is a will to pedal.